Well, going back to great leaders and trust, I'd like to start just by giving you a little bit of background about myself, because I've been in quite a long journey in coaching, really back to the times before when we didn't use the word coaching in its current sense, and people didn't talk about coaching at work. And my first proper job was working at Virgin with Richard Branson, and I worked there for the first 10 years. You've all heard of Richard Branson, haven't you, here? Multi-million worldwide organisation now. None of us had had a proper job before. We were all under 25. No one had had a proper job, including Richard Branson. So nobody knew how we were meant to behave at work. So we made it up. Richard made it up. He just brought his home life the way he'd been raised to work. And he had an extraordinary mother who's still alive at something like 93 years old, who she challenged him all the time. She always let him, insisted that he thought for himself, but she made it a lot of fun. She trusted him to come up with his own ideas and methods and so on. And there was no blame in the home. You know, if anything went wrong, it would be pick yourself up and move on and, you know, learn from that and do it right next time. And of course, he brought that to work. So when we had to start managing teams, I remember being terrified. Suddenly I had a team of 10 people to manage. And I thought, well, they'll all find out I don't know anything. Because, of course, none of us knew anything at all. We didn't have any experience. And then I thought, well, what would Richard do in this situation? And I thought, yeah, Richard, actually, he never says anything. He always asks everyone around him, well, what do you think and what are we going to do? And I realized, you know, going back now, you know, many years later, I went on and ran record companies. I ran companies at Virgin, and we were very, very successful. And looking back now, for the last 10 years, I've been designing programs for companies all over the world and delivering them or sending trainers in to deliver them. And it's training their managers in coaching and leadership skills is what I focus on now. And looking back, I can see that Richard Branson was the role model. He was 100% a coaching leader and still is. And Virgin was 100% a coaching culture. And yet that term hadn't even been thought of. He didn't go on any courses to do that. It was something that came naturally. And I think what I've realized is that some people are lucky enough to grow up in that environment where they have coaching parents. I was very lucky to grow up in that environment. People who encourage you and challenge you and support you and so on. Other people aren't so lucky, or they go to schools or they go to workplaces where they learn communication skills which are not so effective, where people bully or are overly directive and whatever. And what I've realized from designing training programs is it's relatively easy to break down those habits and for people, if they want to instill new ones, so that everybody, you don't have to be, you can be born a coach and you can be born a coaching leader, but if you're not, it's not actually that difficult to learn it and take that on.